Hello indie game fans, even more smaller games and DLCs of interest have popped up, with a number of free titles and a strong top 3 if I do say so myself, so see if anything is of interest in this edition of surprise releases. Let's begin with T-Bat, an 8-bit retro action platformer that I think looks great, although I can see how this might be for someone with a very specific taste. I've covered this game before, and apparently there is an interconnected world, so it might be Metroidvania-light, but apparently this is just episode 1, so I'm waiting to see what's next from this developer. An interesting looking monster taming title is Automon, being an auto battler but not an auto chess game where you're building up a party of creatures and strategically lining up and sending them into combat. This does seem to be a weird parody of Pokemon with the design of the main character, but where it really got me is the, to be honest, rather ugly monster designs, which I believe is intentional, with some surprisingly violent cover art as well, which is oddly hilarious. This video is brought to you by Halo, an atmospheric, physics-based puzzle platformer that looks pretty nice, where you play as robots trying to plan a surprise party for the colonists on board a spaceship who are about to wake up from cryogenic sleep. The platforming in this looks intense as you bounce, roll and launch the robot off ledges and various obstacles, but looks to have enough control such that this is not a frustration platformer. The slightly melancholic tone of the title may have to do with this developer's personal journey through life of being a cancer survivor and having lost a parent a couple of years ago, which are some of the reasons as to why this game was made, but an interesting looking title for sure. We don't get many traditional turn-based roguelikes these days, so it's nice to see them still being made, with Quasimorphosis Exordium being pretty good and free as well, so why not give it a go. It is a sci-fi entry with survival horror elements where you're taking on demons in space, definitely feeling like Doom roguelike, or more recently, Jupiter Hell. With inspiration from Event Horizon, Alien and the works of Clive Barker, you should get the general vibe of this game, and it does remind me of Sword of the Stars The Pit as well. The most common comment on the Steam reviews that I've seen is that I cannot believe this game is free, where I believe the developers are working on a bigger, full version of this game, with the current iteration only having 4 levels, but it is free, so if you've been curious about traditional roguelikes, this is one to try. We're seeing a continued trend of prologue demos releasing on Steam, which is a good strategy to get more people to try a game and hopefully wishlist and buy the full game when it launches, where we're looking at Urbak City Builder here. It is a very pleasant looking voxel city builder title, looking to be similar to SimCity or Cities Skylines, which is certainly something that we have seen before, but where there's no money in this world and everything is dependent on natural resources. I do like this genre as well, and with the demo being fairly popular, do check it out. The third free game in a row is The Odyssey of the Mammoth, an exploration adventure game where you play as a mammoth mother, having to lead your child through increasingly hostile environments in order to escape extinction. I love the look of this, and while it does look very pleasant, there is a combat element as you fend off other creatures and hunters as well. While not shown off in the trailer, it does have a narrator guiding you through with little snippets of history and facts, but I don't think that is 100% historically accurate. It is also a student project like Shadow Burglar in yesterday's video, so if this is any indication where game development students are at, I do have high hopes for the future of games. A surprisingly popular Chinese mythology-themed point-and-click adventure game was The Rewinder from last year, where the developer just released the Roots of Evil paid DLC. It goes back in time to the childhood of our protagonist, actually telling a story about his father, who was a legendary Rewinder himself, which, in this world, is a person that is able to talk to spirits and is some combination of detective and exorcist. The DLC looks great and is, very impressively, just $1, so it's worth picking up if you loved the original.
Cruising depth in roughly 40 seconds. Stand by. I'm seeing some voltage irregularities in the instruments, so keep an eye out for sparks or flames or anything like that.
Let's kick off the top 3 with Iron Lung, a horror title where you're piloting a submarine through an ocean of blood on an alien moon, so how's that for a unique setting? It comes to us from David Szymanski, creator of Dusk, so the pedigree certainly is there. One of the cleverest and most beautiful city builder games came to Steam earlier this month after being an Epic Games Store exclusive, where if you have not played Airborne Kingdom and love the genre, do pick this up as soon as possible. It has you building a floating city held up in the air by giant propellers, sails and oars, having a wonderful steampunk-like aesthetic. Factors like air drag, center of mass and tilt have to be accounted for, with the usual city building elements of having to take care of your people, but it's a fantastic game worth a play. A title that I've had my eye on is the very weird and interesting Wobble Dogs, which just released out of early access, so now's the best time to jump in. It is a pet simulation title where you have to care for and manage a pack of Wobble Dogs, building up the hive for these mutant creatures while crossbreeding them to get even more weird variants. It is a relatively stress-free title, so if you want to sit back and relax with some weird doggies, this is the title for you, where it does also give me vibes of games like Viva Pinata and Slime Rancher. As such, it's a chill title that is pleasant, with a healthy dose of eccentricity, which makes it interesting, taking the number 1 spot. For more chill titles, watch these videos and I will see you after the jump.